Welcome back to Pet Patrol, Protectors of the Pack. Again, this is Alan Braswell, your host, and I am here with Dr. Lisa Miller. During the break, we were talking about how do people understand or identify the differences in dogs and some of the stereotypes that are out there. I mean, one of my favorite stereotypes is when people come up with, and I'm going to let you share this, the dogs, a pit bull's jaw can lock. They are stronger. And I've been bitten by some of my dogs that I haven't found a difference in how I've gotten bitten, and it's usually my fault. What do you think?
Well, I do think I think every breed has a characteristic, and some breeds were meant to chase sheep and round them up, and some breeds were meant to hunt and hold on. You know, I think the first thing is people need to realize that any dog can bite. And that's something that we have to educate ourselves from, little kids on up. When I go into schools, I generally say, do you think I would bring animals here that would bite? Do you think these animals bite? And the kids always say, no, of course not. Of course, they all bite.
I like the way you approach that. That's good.
That's
because
true.
I wouldn't have thought to answer it that way.
Yeah, they all have the potential. So a lot of the bites that I deal with dogs and biting people all the time, and almost 85–90% of the time it's because the human did something that was inappropriate to the dog. Now, I'm not saying they hurt the dog, but maybe the dog was anxious and they leaned in and wanted to pet it on the head at a festival, outside at a community day.
With other dogs barking,
a lot
of noise,
yeah.
And what am I doing in this environment?
Yeah, so we teach little kids, ask before you pet. And that's something that even adults have to realize, Likewise, everybody wants to save the dog that's running free on the street. Well, the dog that's running free on the street is scared. It's fearful. Sometimes I had a client recently that had a Borzoi, which is a beautiful, nice breed. They don't tend to bite, but it was fearful and running for hours because it had gotten lost from its home. So when someone's in flight or fight or panic, they can do things that they wouldn't normally do. So it's not always the best thing to start chasing the dog and try to save it as much as you want to keep it from getting hit. But I'm just saying, these situations, I could go through 100 different scenarios where people make a bad decision trying to do a nice or right thing.
That's a good point, because I know that people many times have good intentions.
Yeah.
And again, you're right, they'll see a dog that's running around and they want to help it. So first of all, they don't know how to attract it.
Mm-hmm.
They really have no idea what they're going to do if they catch it.
Right.
I mean, they don't have
just grabbing and chasing it and grabbing it by the collar.
Scare the dog.
Scare the dog, get bit. It could be the friendliest dog. And, yes, Chihuahuas probably have a higher bite rate than Pit Bulls, but who causes more damage? It's more likely going to be the pitty.
Well, bigger mouth.
Bigger mouth, stronger jaw, but also, Chihuahuas, in my experience, tend to bite and release because they just want to get out of there. They're scared and want to get out. Whereas, a more dominant breed might want to stay and fight if you're going to, mess with them, And I'm not saying they would fight, but you have to look at the situations. For instance, I had a client recently where two of her dogs, one was a pit mix, one was a lab, got into a fight. We all know not to break up a dog fight by putting your hands in, But the dog that's more dominant of the two...
We think we all know. We know, but a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, right. The dog that was more dominant of the two was in flight or fight and wanted to stay and fight. The dog that was the more submissive of the two wanted to run. So the owner got bit by the dog that was the more dominant, which people might assume was a pit, but it was actually the lab in that situation. So everything's so situational, and a lot of breed discrimination is because of the media and maybe the damage of the particular breeds, that might have the stories and the hype. But there's so much more that goes into it. And that's why what we teach our children we should stick with. And we have to think about, I think about all kids as all pet dogs, like a 3-year-old mentality. And we throw them into these situations that may not be natural.
That's a good point. And again, when you talk about situational, it makes me think a couple of things. Two of my dogs.
Yeah.
And two of them, one, Ashton is 8 years old. She's a collie, Akita, something mix. Sweetheart of a dog. Mm-hmm. My other one, Amber, is a Australian Shepherd Lab mix. So we're talking, and she's a therapy dog. I'm sitting in my office, I happen to be petting the two of them. One's on one side, one's on the other, and I'm working. They got annoyed. One of them, don't even know which, got annoyed that the other one allegedly was getting more attention. They get into a fight, and guess who the idiot is with their hand down there,
Right.
who ends up getting bit by both of them.
Right.
So, and I should have known, just get my hand out of the way. They're going to grumble at each other, and then they'll settle down. But I put them in that situation. The other thing is I want to bring up a couple of pictures. I want to tell you folks a story. That's a picture of Elaine, my wife, with the dog. Her name is Penny. Penny was 6 years ago involved in a court case with down in Cumberland County. And for whatever the reasons were, and this dog's never bitten anybody, the judge decided to put her into solitary confinement, and he was going to have them determine if she was a dangerous dog. One was pit bull prejudice. If you can come up with the second picture, this is a sweetheart. The way they tested her was to take a stick with a hand on it and jam it in her face to see how she would react. Now think about it. If you're in a jail cell and the guard comes in with a stick with a hand on it and starts jamming it in your face, I think you might react. So based on her reaction to bite this thing that she was afraid of, they decided that she needed to be either put down or, put down. Fortunately, with the help of the folks at Cumberland County SPCA and St. Hubert's and Best Friends Animal Society out in Utah, we were able to get her relocated to where for the last 4 years she has been with a caregiver in Utah. I was out about a week and a half ago. For 3 days, she stayed with Elaine and I in the cottage that we were at. We did daily walks, and the only problem I had is that my face was chapped by the end from her licking it. And actually, we're trying to find her, we have her fully sponsored, a home outside of New Jersey where she can be an only dog, so that at 9 or 10 years old, she doesn't have to live the rest of her life in the shelter. Absolutely fantastic dog. But, I mean, your thoughts on what they did and how that creates some of the problem?
Well, I mean, I don't know the situation that got her in trouble to begin with.
It was a drug bust, I think, down there, and she happened to be an innocent bystander.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, hopefully things have progressed since then. Like, I've been involved in some cases and stuff since then, and I feel like they aren't so quick to put the dog away then, I mean, now as they used to be. You know, generally now, and maybe the shelters and stuff I work with now are far above others, I don't know. Like, you know, we might be lucky to be in New Jersey. But now, typically, if a situation happens, animal control assesses the situation, and they're generally advocating for the pet, you know, making sure the humans are safe, but I think their job is to advocate for the pet, the ones that I've worked with.
That's awesome.
And then a lot of the shelters actually have teams now. You know, Burlington County is a great example. Like, they have people that are like color-coded on who is more advanced to work with pets in different situations.
We're going to take a quick break, and I want to come back to that because the color coding is a very interesting way in which the shelters are working. So I have some similar experiences. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Hope you folks are enjoying and getting educated so you won't be breed prejudiced. This is Alan Braslow, Pet Patrol, Protector of the Pack, Dr. Lisa Miller of House Paws. Back in a few minutes.
High-achieving students, internationally renowned faculty, and award-winning alumni. A 226-year history of excellence and a beautiful urban campus. The University of Pittsburgh.
Solano Community College transformed my life.
And gave me the opportunities I needed to succeed.
I received the same university-caliber education
without the pressures of debt holding me back. Affordable and flexible, I fulfilled my undergraduate classes.
Getting to the information I truly have a passion for.
The decision to attend SCC empowered my future
and made my dream of attending Yale University a reality. Solano Community College, the educated choice.
Graduates of our university end up going places. Same goes for our students. Because while our campus may be a launch pad for bigger and better things, it's also a prime destination filled with sights, sounds, and some pretty good eats. So, while you're preparing to take on the world is right outside your door. Wayne State University. Aim higher.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
We've been a VIP pet care family.
Prescription products, VIP pet care, dedicated to improving lives.
Solano Community College transformed my life.
And gave me the opportunities I needed to succeed.
I received the same university caliber education
without the pressures of debt holding me back. Affordable and flexible, I fulfilled my undergraduate classes.
Getting to the information I truly have a passion for.
The decision to attend SCC empowered my future
and made my dream of attending Yale University a reality. Solano Community College, the educated choice.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Welcome back to Pet Patrol, Protector of the Pack. Again, this is Alan Braswell, your host. I'm here with Dr. Lisa Allmiller. As we're wrapping up, we were talking about during the break that the animal control folks, the SPCAs, the shelters, they've all gotten a lot better in knowing how to test and determine whether a dog has an issue, no matter what breed it is. The problem I've seen is that judges, legislators, the folks who can actually then make the determination, they are not as knowledgeable as we would like them to be. Your thoughts, what can we do to maybe educate them?
I mean, you're right. I think that the rescuers, the shelters, the people that volunteer, the volunteers especially make a huge difference in changing ideas, and because people are tired at work all the time. Volunteers bring in new life and new ideas, and often they implement amazing systems. So I do think that, I mean, the best thing that you could do with legislature, you know, communities that tend to maybe not be educated as well as like proper pet care, you know, hospitals and such that might not let certain dogs in because of their breed. The way to combat all that is by really don't preach against breed discrimination as much, do something about it.
That's a good point you just said about not letting them in. We went through this because I have a therapy dog, right, and I refused to go to a certain hospital called Virtua because they breed discriminate. One of the most fantastic therapy dogs in our group, a dog called Aladdin, they will not allow him in because he's a pit bull. And this is a dog that goes to Children's Hospital, that gets requested in the most difficult situations because of what an amazing personality he has. But someone at Virtua figured he's a pit bull, so we don't like pit bulls in.
I will tell you, Virtua let Bella, my pit bull mastiff mix, come in and teach CPR to like over 50 people.
Recently?
Last year.
We need to talk. We need to talk because maybe you woke them up.
Well, that's what I mean is that, you know, get your dogs, you know, therapy. If you're serious about, not you, but in general, if you want to make a difference for the breed, get the dog trained to be a therapy dog or a service dog. Get them out there with the community. Get them working. You know, I do education with schools in Camden about, you know, how, you know, pets should be, you know, treated. And it's not just Camden. I mean, at the community, you know, pet store, I have like a education class on how breeds are different. You know, so, you know, a great talk would be how to select your next family pet. You know, and then talking about these sort of differences. So it always comes back to education. And you know, now with Facebook, it's easy to like fight communicate, where you're like arguing back and forth. But nothing speaks louder than actions. So getting pets out there in schools, getting pets out there in communities that are, and it's even stronger. One of the doctors I work with has a dog that's therapy trained. That opens doors up to that dog. And maybe like 3 doors are closed and 6 doors are open, but as that dog becomes popular in those schools and in those communities and those hospitals, it's going to almost build like a resume of what it's done and where it's been, and it's going to open doors for that dog and that person in the next hospital. Okay. So like I have a speaking resume. Winston, her dog, has like a resume of what he's done, and those things prove to people.
That's an excellent idea, the resume part. I think I'm gonna put you and I both on the spot.
Okay.
As you know, I do testing for therapy dogs.
Right.
One of my dogs, one of the two that got into the fight over my hand, is the sweetest dog in the world. She was feral when we brought her back, and she's a therapy dog and the gentlest dog you'd ever want. But I don't have her resume, and I think that would be an interesting thing to start doing. The other thing would be interesting, where maybe I'm going to lean on you, we'll do another show or whatever, is talking to people about how do you choose your dog and the things that type of dog would be good in doing. Because I think that when we think it's cute, but we don't know what the dog's strengths are.
Right.
And you said earlier, you take a lab who's a working dog or an Australian Shepherd, they need a couple of hours of exercise.
Right. Or they develop behavior problems, or even medical problems. Stress creates medical problems. So we can't pick the perfect dog from a picture and expect it to live the way we live. Like, we have to make exceptions for the breed, and it's a partnership.
That's interesting. Pick out the dog because you like all of its characteristics and you've read about it, and then as soon as you get it, you want to change it to something else.
Yeah, every dog can't be a
Doesn't work
soccer
that
dog.
way.
Every dog can't be the dog that goes to the soccer games. If you want a soccer game dog, then maybe you pick a golden, or like certain breeds that are, but maybe a Chihuahua that tends to be more nervous. Like, some are great, but like I have a poodle who will go anywhere with me, but doesn't necessarily enjoy being in public unless it's on my lap, and then it's usually shivering because the people think it's cold, but it's not. It's just uncomfortable.
That's a good point. You know my house.
Yeah.
Of my 4 dogs, each one of them would prefer doing something else. Amber, I take for therapy work. That's what she likes. Another one, she likes to go for rides in the store. And the older guy, Jack, as far as he's concerned, just leave me alone and let me relax.
Yep, they're just
and
like
the new
kids.
Crazy guy was feral.
Right.
I can't take him anywhere yet because he would be like your dog in the lap. He would just shake because he's afraid of people.
Right, exactly, and that's where some of this discrimination, I think, happens. Is one, media hype, but 2, we try to put dogs with strengths, certain strengths and weaknesses in situations that don't match their strengths and weaknesses, or we don't work with them on their weaknesses. If my weakness is I don't speak Spanish well, there's things I can do to speak Spanish better, but you have to do work.
That's true.
You have to do work to make any weakness
And you
stronger.
have to do work with your dogs. It's not that instantaneously these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
I know when we talk with folks about dog training, especially with our rescue, we not only tell them that how puppies act, how the middle-aged dogs, for lack of a better term, act, how the older dogs are, but we also share with them the things they're going to have to do proactively to make that dog part of their household.
Right.
And again, we're talking breed discrimination. Unfortunately, all of the things that can happen, there tends to be a discrimination towards the pit bulls. And when you think about it, it's come out of the fact of the people who made them into fighters. We've worked with, Elaine and I, with the Vic dogs.
Right.
And the Vic dogs, who are now Victory dogs, there's 5 left out of that whole crew. They're absolutely awesome dogs that were put into a bad situation by people who used them for their own greed. And that's the sort of thing that we have to be careful about. So it's just a thought. It's not only that we need to take care of trying to eliminate the breed discrimination, we need to work on the people who put them in that sort of position.
Right.
Couple of things. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. Could you give everyone your contact information? Tell them a little bit about Paws. I told you you're my favorite veterinary practice, so I'd like them to know what you do. Lisa actually answers the phone I text her with crazy questions, and I can't believe she gets back to me, and I do it at crazy times.
Right.
This is a great organization she has, so if you can.
Sure. I work with Paws Mobile Veterinary Service. We are a service that largely sees our patients in the comfort of their own home, where they're comfortable and where we can evaluate them as they are. We do have hospital locations as well in ACO, Mount Laurel, and by February of next year in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. So our number is 856-234-5230. Check us out on Facebook, and our website is www.housepawsmobilevet.com.
And when you go to Lisa's website, don't hesitate to take a look. There's great places for communication if you have questions, if you want to. And what I like is because it's not always easy to get on the phone and call somebody or whatever. With all of our pets, if I need something, I can send an email, and people get back to you quickly, which is really a nice thing to see. It's being watched, and there's reaction, and you'll find that they all care. That's the thing that's amazing, because you have a pretty big organization now.
Yeah, we have 13 vets now, but yeah, everyone's very passionate, and we live chat, we text, we have text-only lines, we Facebook, we probably have 8 different ways to reach us based on what suits the owner.
You're there for when she's there for when you need her. And the other part is, if Lisa feels you're better at another place, like for instance, we work with North Star, which I've done some shows on. I've had instances where Lisa said to me, have so-and-so at North Star do something. It was with one of my dogs. I think they will be able to get a better read on something. And that's nice when you have someone who's more interested in your pets than a revenue stream. And that's what you're going to find when you work with Lisa. I think we're kind of wrapping up. We're going to do more of this. Hopefully I can get Lisa to do the education on breed selection and choice of what type of dog based on your lifestyle. We'll talk about that and maybe put a show together.
Yeah.
Again, this is Pet Patrol, Protector of the Pack. I want to thank all of you, Dr. Lisa Miller, who I always love having on as a guest. And we will see you next time.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.